In this video, I'd like to introduce you to another assessment that I use with leaders and achieve great results and insights. Today, I'd like to introduce you to the assessment I use with leaders called the Work of Leaders. It is an everything DISC assessment, and therefore it has DISC as the foundation under it, and then there is some unique information to this report that you won't get any other way. I have used the report over many years with leaders since it was introduced by Wiley and have found it to be very effective as a means for coaching conversations and insights into leadership competencies with my clients. So let's take a look at this report and talk about the various pages. So it starts with an introduction to DISC and understandings around DISC, as well as the unique aspects of this report. And so I typically would have the client just scan through this information and point out a couple of key things, such as this report is relevant for leaders at all levels. However, I tend to use this report primarily with leaders that are senior leaders overseeing many people in an organization. For leaders at lesser levels, I often use different reports, such as the management profile. All four DISC styles contribute to leadership success, and most likely your strengths reflect your own DISC style. So as I mentioned, DISC is at the core of this report, and it's important for the leader to understand their DISC style and then to go from there in understanding their strengths and challenges in three key areas of leadership: vision, alignment, and execution. So it starts with an understanding of their DISC style. In this sample report, the participant is what's called a high D. A high D is characterized by the black dot being in the D pie slice. The dot is out towards the edge of the circle, which means that they strongly manifest the characteristics that are often associated with the D style. And so we call that in the DISC practitioner world a high D. This next page is a unique page to the report in that it is their story, and it will talk about their leadership given their DISC style. So you will see things such as leaders with the D style are rated by their followers, peers, and managers as being more results-focused than any of the other DISC leadership styles. Because of this determination triumph, you may become impatient and in turn frustrated if your expectations aren't met. Statements like that may resonate with the person reading the report, or they may disagree, and that's okay. What we'd like to do is personalize the information so that it becomes truly their report. Everything in the report isn't going to be dead on, and we would just strike through that information and retain the information that is very much in line with their own understanding of their style. It ends with a paragraph saying your most valuable contributions as a leader may be your tendency, and then it goes on to describe their leadership style based on the D type. And again, we like to personalize that. In my experience, most leaders resonate with the majority of the information on this page and usually find just a few statements that they would disagree with. This next page talks about their style and their priorities. You can see the 8 words around the circle, with some being bolder and some being grayed out. The ones that are bolder are the priorities associated with their DISC style. Typically, there are 3 priorities closest to the black dot, but in this case, this leader also has a 4th priority of being deliberate. And you can see here with the shading in the circle that they do have shading in the I, S, and C quadrants to varying degrees. And that's because no one is a singular style. Everyone is complex and a blend of the 4 styles. But they tend to gravitate towards certain priorities. And again, you would personalize the report by talking with the leader about these priorities, having them read through the information and determine if they identify with it. This page is simply an overview of the DISC styles in case the leader would like to learn more about the styles other than their own. And now we get into the heart of this report, which is vision, alignment, and execution, critical competencies for leaders. We have high-level information about the 3 competencies, and then we have subcategories such as exploration, boldness, and testing assumptions under crafting a vision, clarity, dialogue, and inspiration under building alignment, and momentum, structure, and feedback under championing execution. And under each one of those, there are 2 sub-elements, as you can see under exploration, remaining open, and prioritizing the big picture. Each one of these will be rated in this report. Let's start with vision. First, we want to have a common definition for the purposes of this report so that the leader understands how we see vision from this report's perspective. We establish why vision is important, and we also describe that leaders craft vision at all levels. And then we believe that there are some best practices associated with crafting a vision, and those are the sub-elements. For example, under exploration, we believe that there are best practices of remaining open and prioritizing the big picture. And you can see, again, by the black dot, where the leader stands on this continua of remaining open versus seeking closure. We believe that when you're still exploring the idea of creating a vision, that you should remain open at the outset, and you should prioritize the big picture at the beginning. And so we consider that this actually is where we want the leader to be. This isn't the type of report where there are no established best practices. Either side is okay. We believe that remaining open and prioritizing the big picture are best practices and is where the leader should be in order to fully manifest exploration at this step in the visioning process. So you can clearly see that the leader is strong in these areas. On these next 2, they're strong on speaking out, not as strong on being adventurous. On these 2, they're not very strong at all on seeking counsel. They are clearly out towards the left side, towards decide independently, and on exploring implications versus pushing forward, they're more likely to push forward. And that may be a characteristic of their D style. Ds would tend to want to decide independently and push forward given natural inclinations toward their style. However, as they learn and grow and mature and become better at crafting a vision, they would most likely temper their usual inclinations and instead open up to seeking counsel and exploring implications. So these are coaching conversations to have. And then we go on to alignment as being the next competency, and we have sub-elements such as these, and these. You can see that in 5 of the 6, if you've been following along, they're not as strong on these continua. Therefore, this may be a growth area for this leader, the area of alignment. And this would be where we rally people around the vision and prepare them for the next competency, which is execution. It's turning the imagined future condition into reality. D types would tend to be strong in the area of execution because they drive for results. So you can see here that this leader is driven, is an initiator, is more likely to improvise versus plan, and more likely to analyze in depth versus follow first impressions. And so it's a bit of a mixed bag in this section, right? They have some strengths, they have some challenges, versus vision where it was mostly strengths and alignment where it was mostly challenges. So then after we get through this phase and we have had ongoing conversations with our client all the way through, we get to the end portion of the report, which examines their 3 strengths, which can be in any of the 3 areas. Interestingly, their 3 strengths are represented in all three areas. In the area of vision, it is under boldness, speaking out. See how they're almost completely over on the right side there. Here on execution, under momentum, it's initiating action. Again, almost all the way to the right. And then in the third one, in the area of alignment, inspiration, being expressive. They're quite expressive, almost all the way over to the right. So these are the three strengths. Always in coaching, we consider, would we gain more by capitalizing on strengths, leveraging strengths, building on strengths, further strengthening strengths versus working on challenges? That's up to you and your coaching client as you explore this report, talk about it in depth, and reflect upon its insights and consider the way forward. The next 3 pages are for examining the challenges. So each challenge is given its own page. The first challenge in the area of alignment, not surprising based on our earlier review of that section. It gives tips for improvement, gives a couple of examples, and then poses the questions, how can you adapt your behavior to become a better leader in this area? And then it takes a look at another challenge, which again is in the area of alignment. And then the third one is in the area of execution, offering praise. This leader tends to offer less praise versus more praise. Again, based on my experience working with DISC reports over a decade now, I'm not surprised to see that this D leader tends to offer less praise. That is not uncommon in leaders of the D type, unless they have learned over time to give more praise and they see the benefits of doing so. In this case, this leader, by answering the questions when taking the assessment, has confessed that they typically offer less praise, and so this would be an area of possible improvement that we would want to talk with them about as their coach. And that's it. That's the report, the work of leaders. Obviously, I've taken a much shorter time going through this information than I would with an actual coaching client. With a coaching client, we would typically spend a full coaching session going through this report, and then I would give the report to the client, allow them to read it in detail, think about it, and then come back to the next coaching session with some additional insights that we would talk about, and then determine what might we actually work on together based on the data in the report. And that's how it can inform and support an effective coaching engagement. If you'd like to learn more about this report or receive this sample report to further examine on your own, please email me at michael@bayareaexecutivecoach.com. If you'd like to consider using this report in your coaching, also email me and I'd be happy to describe how you can use this report in your coaching practice. If you'd like to learn more about my certified coach training and certification programs that can lead you towards an ICF credential, please visit bayareaexecutivecoachtraining.com and learn more about our programs and various levels of enrollment, or simply email me at michael@bayareaexecutivecoach.com to set an appointment and learn more one-on-one. Please subscribe to the channel, like and comment on this video, and share it with others who might be helped by watching it. Thank you very much.